On the night of August 19th, 1998, as families gathered around their television to watch two guys, a girl, and a pizza place, a shadowy military operation is going down off the coast of Washington state. Little information is given, but there are reports that infected soldiers are dying and then coming back to life. This horrifying scenario is the setup to Daymare 1998, a flawed yet effective survival horror game that brings zombie action to the Pacific Northwest. It's a familiar premise loaded with performance problems, but I'm here to make the argument that this debut release from Invader Studios will do more than scratch that classic Resident Evil itch. This is the all-too-familiar story of what happens when a small, rural town is infected and turned into flesh-eating zombies. We see the horrific events play out through the eyes of three different people, including two Hades operatives, Raven and Liev, and a local man named Samuel who works as a park ranger. They don't know it yet, but they're about to become pawns in a grand conspiracy that rivals anything that the Umbrella Corporation could think of. Now that comparison is actually apt, because Daymare 1998 is doing its best to evoke the spirit of all of those old survival horror games of the past. It's a third-person shooter that traps you into a bunch of dangerous locations that have you picking up key cards and solving puzzles. We go from slowly investigating a military base, to trying to survive a zombie-filled hospital, to uncovering the terrible secrets hidden in the town of Keene Sight. And just like the games that inspired it, you're not going to find a lot of ammo or health items laying around, creating a tense situation where you're constantly forced to conserve bullets while avoiding the Walking Dead. I think a lot of your enjoyment of this game is going to come down to how much you like the genre's cliches. From picking up documents, to combining items, to hanging out in save rooms. This checks all of the boxes. Unfortunately, it also resurrects some of the bad aspects of survival horror, such as dealing with the limited inventory and sluggish controls that make the combat a whole lot tougher than it should be. And we can't forget the horrendous voice acting, especially when it comes to the guy that plays Samuel.
Doc, it's me. Sorry, but your colleague didn't make it. I found him, but was too late to—
Mr. Walker, don't dwell on useless chatter. Just check the status of the computer equipment in the room. Did Dr. Kimball complete his work? The screen for the terminal display—
What? Listen, Doc. I am done playing your fucking dirty little games. All I've been doing this whole time is implicating myself in whatever the hell crimes you've committed here by erasing evidence. I do not take kindly to being blackmailed by weirdo fucks in puffy white coats, and I ain't your damn puppet! My role as your accomplice in this fucked up horror tale ends now. I'm heading your way, Doc. And when I get there, you'll do well to give me exactly what I risked my ass for in this godforsaken labyrinth.
Well, let's not gloss over the bad gameplay too quickly, because there are times when the developers are just being mean. A perfect example of this is the way you reload the handgun. It's not enough to make you sit through a lengthy animation, but you also have to go through the extra step of pulling up a menu in the middle of combat in order to manually reload the clip. This is made even worse when you realize that a lot of the zombies will require a half dozen or more bullets to take down, which means that you're constantly having to reload. But even more annoying is the frame rate, which will often slow to a crawl. I don't know, perhaps I have my computer settings haywire, or it performs better on the consoles. But Daymare 1998 is a mess. When I wasn't chugging through the environment, I was getting stuck in the geometry. That's a shame, because I actually like the attention to detail that they have in most of the locations. I appreciate that the game takes us away from the typical haunted mansion setting and uses the Pacific Northwest to great effect. I would have had more fun exploring every inch of Keene Sight if the frame rate was more stable. Probably the best thing I can say about the game is that the story is surprisingly good. In fact, it's one of the main reasons why I'm going to recommend Daymare 1998. Sure, the writing is clunky and Samuel gets stuck in that damn hospital for too long, but it tells a full story and it has a fantastic ending. This game does a good job of recontextualizing a lot of what we see early on, especially when it comes to the Hades operatives. I have a hunch that I'd look at the events in the early part of the game in a completely different light after completing the story, and that's not something I say about a lot of survival horror games. But the problem is that you can occasionally tell that Daymare 1998 was made on a limited budget. I suspect that a lot of the pacing issues come from them wanting to use and then reuse the same locations until you're sick of them. You also run into the same zombies about 1,000 times, and none of the human animations look very good. It's clear that a lot of focus went into bringing Keen Sight to life, and it's easily the best part of the game. But there are long stretches where you're in the sewer or the tunnel or some other bland location. Thankfully, there are a lot of great, intense moments that make the drabber settings more exciting. Now, as a survival horror game, Daymare 1998 does what it needs to and nothing more. It hits all the notes you expect without adding much to the formula. Your enjoyment's going to come down to how much you like those older survival horror games and their cliches. If you're ready to accept a derivative story, a few performance issues, and a lot of inventory management, then you're probably going to have a good time playing through this throwback. This gets just enough right for me to recommend it, but you might want to wait for a patch before visiting Keen Sight. Although it's unpolished and not especially original, Daymare 1998 offers a fun, intense survival horror experience that feels like a throwback to a different time. It has a nice variety of locations and some brain-busting puzzles, along with a gripping story that has a genuinely great ending. But even with all that going on, Daymare remains a derivative adventure that goes down the checklist of what you expect from the genre without adding anything new. It's also marred by awful performance issues and some atrocious voice acting. It's a bit of a mixed bag, but Daymare 1998 delivers when it needs to and should give fans of the genre something to be scared about. Hey, thanks for watching our review. If you liked what you saw here, then you should know that we post new reviews and features almost every day. Now here's the question I have for you. What is your favorite survival horror game? You have a quarter century's worth of games to choose from, so I can't wait to see what you pick. In other news, Review-mageddon rolls on with my take on Zenith, Death State, Demoniaca, and Super Dodgeball Beats. If that sounds good to you, then I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then,